G'day Dirt Degenerates, welcome back to another Adventure News Flash Update. Today I wanted to talk about the 2025 KTM 390 Adventure. There's brand new spy footage, it's one of the most anticipated motorcycles of the year, and there's a big difference in this footage compared to what we've seen before. And is it cause for concern? Should we all be worried? Let's find out.
Start it up.
Quickly, for those of you that aren't up to speed with the 2025 KTM 390 Adventure, what are we looking at here? Well, it's got a brand new motor, it's 399 cc's now. It's called the LC4C. It is based still off the original 375cc motor in the current 390, but obviously we get a bump in power. So now we're getting 44 horsepower and 39 Newton meters of torque, which is roughly a 4 Newton meter bump, which is great to see, better for off-road capability. And peak power is also lower in the RPM range now by 1000 RPM, coming in at 8,500 RPM. That was a major criticism of the 390, is that as fantastic of a little adventure bike it was, it had a very road-orientated engine that was quite revvy and didn't really lend itself to off-road riding. This looks on paper to be much better suited to the off-road application. As I said in my previous video, it's still not going to be a DR650 as far as tractor factor goes, but a vast improvement over the current model. Given how light this bike is, small numbers can really make a big difference. We also have a brand new frame on this bike, so this is a serious redesign for the motorcycle. We're also pretty sure, given all the media outlets talking about this bike, that this is a 2025 model year, and it could possibly be released at the end of 2024, which is really not that far away. So we could potentially see this bike at the big international motorcycle shows at the end of the year, which is really exciting news, but at the latest first or second quarter of 2025. And of course, we're getting WP suspension on the bike. KTM throws that on all the bikes, but what we can see from the spy footage of both videos, the earlier one and the current one, is that this looks far more long-legged than the outgoing model. So I think we can expect increased travel. And I think all those features lend this bike to clearly being more off-road capable than the current generation 390. KTM haven't confirmed this, so it isn't 100% guarantee that this is going to be a KTM either. This could be under the Gas brand, they could put it under the Husqvarna brand, but if I had to bet on it, I'd say that this is most definitely going to be a KTM first. The big question is, does this current video reveal anything new that we didn't already know about the bike? And that big change is the wheels. These look like a 1917 wheel combo, as opposed to the previous spy footage. It was clearly spoke wheels and they were a 21 and an 18 wheel setup, the best setup you can get for the off-road application. This is a more road-orientated setup, and that has a lot of people concerned, obviously. Is this a downgrade? Does that mean that we're no longer getting the 21-18 wheel setup? And the other thing about this 1917 wheel setup that's very hard to tell, but if you look closely, to my eye, it looks like these are cast wheels and not spoke wheels like we saw on the previous video. And the other take here is that I could just be seeing things wrong. This video isn't the greatest quality. Maybe it's the angle that the shot's been taken at. Let me know what you think, whether these are cast wheels, but definitely to my eye, this is a 1917 wheel combo, particularly when you put it side by side with the previous spy footage. It is a glaringly obvious change. Should we be worried about this development? Has KTM abandoned us in the wilderness and no longer giving us the off-road capable 390 Adventure that we've wanted for so very long and KTM have not produced? Well, there's a few scenarios that I think could happen here, so let's talk through each of them and their probability. Scenario one is yes, KTM are gonna crush our hopes and dreams for releasing yet another road-orientated adventure bike when we've been screaming for years for off-road capability in a small adventure bike platform. They've sent us out on an involuntary Viking funeral, and the fiery arrow is about to land on the canoe and screw all our hopes and dreams. That is a definite possibility, a little bit of hyperbole there, but it's definitely a possibility, as if it's not broke, don't fix it. The 390 has been very popular in its current format for many years, so maybe KTM think to themselves, let's just stick with what we've been successful with and not go too crazy with the entry-level platform. A definite possibility in my book. Scenario number two is No, that is not the case. What KTM might do here is we'll stick with the 1917 wheel combo, both cast wheel and spoke wheel. That's an option that we all currently have in most markets that KTM offer the bike in. So we will be able to get a spoke wheel version, which is a bit of a win because this bike does look like it has more travel than the current 390. So it does still mean it will be a little more off-road capable than the current model, but it's still not the optimum 2118 wheel setup. Which brings me to scenario number 3, which is one I really hope is the case, and that's that we get the 2118 spoke wheel version alongside the 1917 wheel version. This is a very common move from most manufacturers, and there is a fourth option which is the least unlikely but I think is the most exciting, and that's that the 1917 cast wheel version will be the standard 390, and then KTM will release a 390 Adventure R with the 2118 wheel setup, improved suspension and generally the R treatment, which makes it far more off-road capable for those that really want the dirt focused model to really attack the difficult off-road sections. That would be amazing if that's what happened, and would definitely be a bike on my radar, but I think that's a fairly low probability as well, given the amount of money they would have to put into a small displacement bike to make it worthy of having that R name. It really isn't much margin in profit. Scenario number 5 is the least likely of the bunch here, and I really think that this is a very slim possibility. It's just something I thought up. It's a completely harebrained scheme, but KTM could release the 390 in its base version under the KTM brand and save the more off-road capable version for Husqvarna's brand. The other thing here to soothe your fears as well is the competition that's come out recently in the small displacement adventure bike market, particularly the Himalayan 450. It's really raised the bar from its previous gen 411 to be a far more serious contender against the 390 Adventure, as is the CF Moto 450 MT, which is a really stunning little adventure bike out of China with a lot of impressive specifications. So KTM really can't afford to sit on their hands here and not raise the bar of their 390, as the small displacement adventure bike market has really moved a long way ahead since the KTM 390 first came out. It's a different game. No longer are people expecting just a slightly adventurized road-based adventure bike. They're expecting proper off-road capability out of their small displacement adventure bikes in 2024. And I hope that KTM have paid attention to that. I strongly believe that they do, as generally speaking, KTM are pretty savvy and are always at the top of the pyramid when it comes to off-road performance. I'd love to know your thoughts on the 2025 390 Adventure. Is this going to be your unicorn motorcycle? Are you concerned about this 1917 wheel setup? If you've noticed anything extra, feel free to comment down below, as I'm sure everyone will want to know. Let me know your thoughts down below. And as always, don't forget to stay shiny side up.